Okay, so in today's video, I'm going to be fixing the overheating issues that plague my gaming PC. Now, I got this PC, well, I built this PC a few months ago, and I've upgraded it just yesterday. I switched the 3400G for a Ryzen 5 3600X.
Editorial note, I meant the 3600 non-X variant. Excuse me if I say X anymore throughout the video. I probably will, about 1,000 times.
And I also installed a deepcool gammax liquid cooler. Immediately when I booted into Windows, I noticed that my idle temps were up at like 48 degrees Celsius. So that's not good. I then decided to play some GTA online with my friends on max settings. I played for about 2 hours and I saw my CPU hit up to 79 degrees Celsius. So something's definitely wrong with that. To confirm that, I also ran Cinebench R23 where it hit 89 degrees Celsius. Now I'm hoping it's just going to be one of these easy fixes, like I didn't do up the bolt tight enough on the liquid cooler, or I forgot to plug it in, or I don't know, my thermal paste application is wrong. But I remember double checking everything, so I don't think that's going to be the case. Either way, I think it will make for an interesting video. This is the liquid cooler in question. It is a deepcool gammax L240 RGB V2, I believe, and it's not actually mounted the way the instruction manual tells you. I'm supposed to have these fans on here. I didn't do that, so let's get to taking this apart.
So my first method of troubleshooting was actually arranging the fans in the proper configuration that the manual told me to.
Right, let's get to moving these fans. I'm going to start with the moving the front fans. I have to take off the GPU for that, don't I?
After that, I ran a stress test and my temps were pretty much still the same. They were like 1 or 2 degrees lower, but nothing changed too much. So I went to troubleshooting method number 2, which was removing the AIO and checking the thermal paste application, as well as the tightness of the bolt, the backplate, and stuff like that.
Right. Oh man, it's stuck onto the CPU, okay. Oh boy, this feels wrong. Can't even properly twist it off because of these, because of the design of this AIO bracket. Oh man, no. This is wrong.
This went on for about 20 minutes.
This is why you remove it when it's on.
Until eventually...
Oh shit. Oh shit. Okay, so, what's happened now is the classic help, my CPU is stuck to the cooler, and I pulled it right out of the socket. Not to mention the fact that I got thermal paste on the pins. Yeah. Okay, well, the first step to fixing this problem is... Oh my god, this is so wrong. Oh god. Oh shit. Just gripping it by its corner so I don't touch any of the pins. Still stuck.
Eventually I solved this problem by sort of moving a corner of the CPU off of the copper heat splitter and then prying it off using some plastic thing.
Okay, so I managed to get this CPU unstuck using graphic methods. I forced it off to the side and then shoved some plastic thing down here and used it as a lever to pry it off. Do not do this. Feels wrong to be doing this to a computer worth all my life savings. Okay, well, there's the CPU. I'm gonna wipe off the thermal paste using some isopropyl alcohol. I'm still scared of such things. Actually, I'm gonna just put this CPU back in the socket. It's the gold arrow. Now I'm gonna start wiping all the thermal paste off the CPU and the heatsink, and there's way too much of it. I have over applied the paste. Okay, yeah, I definitely over applied the paste. Okay, now I'm using a tiny brush with rubbing alcohol on the end, just to make sure that none of the paste will ever leak onto the socket. Okay, I think we're good. Okay, I'm gonna try a different brand of thermal paste. Before I had Arctic Silver Ceramic 2 on here, and I'm just gonna try to use, this is the paste I had on here. I'm gonna try to use the paste that came with it. It's more liquidy, so at least maybe the CPU won't get stuck to it. I can also try Arctic Silver 5 later.
I then applied the thermal paste. Now as for the thermal paste fix, I dropped about 1 to 2 degrees on idle.
Right, let's plug it in.
I didn't feel myself plugging it in, but I'll explain what happened. I used a set of cheap Amazon fans in the build. They were like 25 bucks, it was a 3-pack. The RGB fan hub did not have any labels on it, and all of the ports were proprietary. I've never seen these ports before. And the LED port and the power port were the same. They didn't have any labels on them, and I no longer had the instructional manual. Basically, I messed the two up and I plugged the power cable into the LED port, which caused the RGB controller and fans to, well, burn down basically. So I had to replace those. But I used this as an opportunity to actually get some decent fans. Now as for the thermal paste fix, I dropped about 1 to 2 degrees on idle and about 8 degrees under load. So that was already an improvement, but it still wasn't the temps that I was looking for.
Okay, so my in-wind Sirius loop fans have just arrived. Let's unbox. Yes, the wiring. RGB controller. Hardware. These are rubber isolation pads. And the fans themselves. Packaged nicely.
And this is what the new Sirius Loop fans look like.
Now at this point, after all the stuff that I've done, I dropped to about 46 degrees on idle and a maximum of about 79 degrees under load, which is better than it was before, but the idle temps are still not exactly what you'd expect with water cooling. So as a final resort, I went into the BIOS and did a bunch of research online And here's what I found out. I am using an A320 board, which does not allow manual overclocking unless I update to the latest BIOS. So, most Ryzen CPUs have automatic overclocking features. The board automatically overclocks the CPU when it thinks that there is sufficient cooling, energy, and there is a sufficient load to actually justify overclocking the CPU. So, if my CPU is just sitting at, 2% load, and suddenly that spikes up to 10, that's still only an 8% spike. But the computer thinks that, some big application is being opened, so it automatically overclocks the CPU instantly to 4.2 or 4.3 gigahertz, which is not needed. And that's what causes these massive spikes to like 50, 55 degrees on idle. If I disabled all of these automatic overclocking features, my CPU stays at like 33, 34 degrees idle, but it's also stuck at 3.6 gigahertz. There are two solutions to this. The first one is doing a manual overclock that will prevent the CPU from spiking so much. And the second one is messing around with the BIOS and not letting it auto overclock as much. This is going to decrease performance under load, but it's also going to decrease temps on idle and noise and such. So that's what I did.
And with that, I got my PC to idle at about 38 to 39 degrees Celsius, with spikes up to 47 and rare spikes up to 55. After a 20-minute Cinebench R23 run, the maximum temp I hit was 80 degrees Celsius. I'm still a bit worried about temps under load, but my CPU is still hitting 4.2 gigahertz, which is its max boost speed out of the box. So I'm happy with the performance and sort of happy with the temps. Was this worth it? No, it was not.